Okay, here we go. You want to give it a shot?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 2, 1. You good? Okay. You guys good? Or you need me up here? All right. Kyle, talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye. You guys are happy? Peppy and bursting with love? Great.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Good. Good. Thank you.
Now, are you taking it over this stuff, or are you getting all this stuff in the shot? Why don't you just stand right here and just shoot over it?
We could do that as well, but it's kind of fun to get out the road frame. There's people running behind you.
Yes, she's here.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thanks, everybody. You want to go to the Holden? Sorry.
So here, that's where I'm standing? They got me behind everybody. Thanks. You're here? Good advance work. It's good advance. I was just telling them I used to advance President
Where
Clinton.
am I?
Really? Yeah.
I'm here.
Because they were just always teasing me about me knowing how to set up shots. I'm like, when you work advanced,
It's in your blood.
you learn how to do it.
James.
Superintendent.
The superintendent. Who
State
you just
troopers.
focusing? The superintendent from the state troopers.
Oh, okay.
Attorney General,
Okay, Attorney General. Okay.
Commissioner. It's a little tight. I'm sorry. It's perfect. But like, I just spent a lot of time doing this. Yeah.
I saw her the other day at one of those bus things.
No.
Was it my birthday? Which one? Was the bus? Yeah. It was the last bus then. Yeah. It was the last bus. Yeah. We went to Pennsylvania. Okay, that was nice of her. Okay. And I'm like, who is she again?
That's the order, right? Isn't that that's the program?
Yep.
Yeah. I used to do all this stuff.
I used to be the staffer doing all this.
Yeah. There's like a whole secret you can do. You can do that with a hanger. As you carry metal hangers and like rope, a lot of rope in my and then tape, a ton of tape.
Board of Elections should be here. Stay outside.
Senator Kevin Parker, how's everything going? Yeah, I can see you.
All right. See you normally from time to
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he
How things
should be
going?
up.
Okay, good.
Busy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big state.
Exactly. It is. We're well protected, so you know.
Things go with you.
Yeah, like busy, like you said. You know, busy. But going well. Things are, all things considered, things are going well. I've been here a long time, just here. So I've been here 22 years, but I've just been in the Senate. Yeah. Yes, it was.
This is my Colonel
Colonel, how you doing? State Senator Kevin Park.
Nice to meet you, sir.
No, nice to meet you.
Okay.
Sleepy Debbie Lewis, how are you?
Thank you for answering.
I'm here. I'm like, y'all want me to come or y'all want me to answer the phone? I'm like, I can't do both. Yeah. So all three of us representatives here. Yeah. I actually literally grew up in this building, like, I mean, day camp, all that. Played basketball when I was a little young. Yeah, so this is like my community. No, unfortunately. I was telling somebody over the weekend, I used to play on my church is around the corner. I used to play on my church basketball team. I was so bad, my brother was the coach and I never played. You know how bad you have to be for your brother to be the coach?
Be in the house, exactly.
Like he was the coach and I never played. So
Hey, but you had other guests.
yes.
I spent time, the area of Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Okay.
My in-laws basically put them back.
Yeah. So my mother actually grew up in Bed-Stuy. We moved here later on. I'm the youngest, but we moved here a number of years ago. But yeah, my family was from Bed-Stuy, around that area. Yeah.
It's nice to be able to come back and represent.
Absolutely. Everybody knows you. You feel good. You know where everything is.
Bring back the bacon to the
That's right. Exactly.
I want to do something. I want to do the edge up.
In fact, one of my classmates over the high school I went to was Midwood High School, which is like 2 blocks away from here, right next to Brooklyn.
So that people don't see.
One of my, actually, 2 of my high school colleagues works in the state trooper. One is a guy named Tony Preston. You know Tony? Yeah, I think Preston. Yeah,
They
so
all work for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So tell Tony I said hello. Me and Tony played high school together. Played football. I was a better football player than I was. I wasn't good as Tony, but I was,
They
I did my thing.
all that. It's just, it's like literally what you're supposed to work with. It's my cousin right here.
You're here, it looks like.
Cousin?
What?
Is that your real cousin?
Yes, he's my cousin.
Because I saw James and I'm like,
Right, he's my cousin. Such
Okay.
Good morning. It's great to be back in Brooklyn, the great home of people like Shirley Chisholm, Una Clark, Meg Revers, all those great champions who led the march to voting, running for office, and reminding us of those sacred rights that we treasure. This has always been a home to places who have supported the March for Civil Rights. So there's no better place to talk about our most important and fundamental right as an American, that is the right to vote. Now, with early voting officially underway, I'm here to update you on our ongoing efforts to uphold the voting process, voting rights, and the voting safety of all New Yorkers over the next couple days, 8 days, and once the polls close. Let me be very clear about this. This work is nonpartisan. It's not about who you vote for. And as governor, it's my duty to protect the right of every citizen to safely participate in our elections. It's a solemn responsibility and one I take very seriously, as do my partners joining me here today. And I want to acknowledge the incredible work of our Attorney General, Tish James. You'll be hearing from her momentarily about the office, her efforts to make sure that these elections run smoothly and the action she's prepared to take in case of any situations that arise. I want to thank her for always being a champion for New Yorkers and a tremendous partner in government. Senator Kevin Parker has joined us, Assembly Member Rodneyce Bichot-Hermelin, Councilmember Farrell Lewis, also joined by members of my team, the Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Jackie Bray, as well as the Director of Counterterrorism at DISH's, Ben Vos-Gardner, and the Superintendent of State Police, Stephen James, and Counterterrorism, Andrew Crow, and as well as Colin Ahern, our state's Chief Cyber Officer. These are the individuals that I have my confidence in to ensure that the next election in 8 days, ongoing and the weeks and days afterward if necessary, will be ensuring the election integrity of what happens here in New York. As we know, up and down the ballot, you'll be electing your candidates for every office, from city and town councils in some cases, all the way to our congressional representatives, to the President of the United States. Today is day 3 of early voting here in New York, and some of you may have already voted. But no matter when or how you cast your ballot, whether you vote by mail or in person, I hope that New Yorkers will take a moment just to pause and reflect on what that right really means and how fortunate we are as Americans to share in this sacred right. Because almost half of the world's population live in countries where either you cannot vote or your vote has no impact on the outcome of an election. Conversely, here in America, your vote absolutely matters, and that's never something we can take for granted. And there's a long history of our country's battles. Many before us have lost their lives on battlefields, shed blood in our streets, marched, demanding this right. And I think about the brave men and women who've served in our country, in our military, but also in elective office. Like my friend John Lewis, former member of Congress, who was beaten bloody on the Edmund Pettus bridges in the Selma to Montgomery March. Our history has been shaped by patriots and pioneers who fought to protect this precious right. Also been protected by unsung heroes, those whose names will not appear in history books, but do the essential work of upholding our democracy. These individuals, they have jobs, they have kids, they have parents to take care of, yet they still give of their time and their energy as our poll workers and elections inspectors. It's a remarkable gesture of patriotism on their part as well. So to all the election volunteers, the workers, poll workers, I want to thank you, because your work stabilizes our democracy and truly makes a difference. And it's because of you, our fire stations and school gyms and libraries, community centers, and places like this one are transformed into hallowed places. We all go to exercise the most fundamental right in our democracy. Now, as I've traveled the state a great deal recently, a number of people have expressed concerns about this election, especially with some of the inflammatory and extremist rhetoric and misinformation you've seen on social media feeds or heard from your friends or neighbors or relatives. That's what I want to address today. I'm here to assure you that we have measures in place to ensure the election process runs smoothly and safely for everyone. New Yorkers should be confident that no matter where you live or where you vote, you'll be able to cast that vote safely and without issue. Because over the past year, teams from various agencies, Homeland Security and Emergency Services, our Office of Information Technology Services, our cybersecurity offices, they have been hard at work preparing for all scenarios in this election. They've gamed them out in close coordination with boards of elections and are ready to be there to support any way necessary. Now, that could be anything from dealing with a power outage to internet to service disruptions to weather-related road closures. We've seen it all in every corner of the state. And it's this cooperation and partnership that will ensure that every voter can cast their ballot, have it voted, no matter what happens. Also, on top of these interagency preparations, New York has invested the resources necessary, $100 million, $140 million in state and federal funds to modernize our election infrastructure here in New York. Now, that's money well spent, upgrading equipment, improving security protocols at boards of elections around the state. We're also investing significant dollars in new e-poll books and postage for local boards of elections. In the last few years, counties have received almost $11 million to strengthen cybersecurity. And as you make your plans to vote, if you're not already, some of you may encounter misinformation, whether it's an incorrect polling site, unfounded claims that votes aren't being counted, or false, misleading images produced by artificial intelligence. On social media, baseless theories can spread like wildfire, making it hard to separate fact from fiction. And whether it's inaccurate rumors that circulate intentionally or by accident, the end result could be the same. Voters are worried. They feel disenfranchised, disillusioned about our democratic system. But we're not powerless. Together, we can stop the false rumors from spreading. Here's how you can help. If you spot incorrect information about the election, your polling place, anything that does not seem right to you, contact your Board of Elections. We'll get that information out to all of you. Second, if you get your voting information directly from the Board of Elections. Just go to elections.ny.gov. And with a few easy clicks, you can find out information on how and where to vote and learn about the exhaustive measures in place to protect the integrity of this election. Now, it's also very possible that we won't have some clear winners in every race on election night. Tallying all the votes and declaring all the official winners can take time. That's totally normal, especially in tight races. So that leads me to the last thing I want to discuss today, and that's the immediate aftermath of the election. A recent poll shows that 62% of Americans, 62%, worry about post-election violence, that it could be at least somewhat likely. Now, that's extremely disturbing. That has not been the case in the past. It reflects the concerns that I've also heard from people concerned at diners and the coffee shops and union halls. Today, I want to ease those concerns and to promise you that New York stands ready to manage any election-related protests, demonstrations, or whatever in the hours and days following November 5th. I've directed the New York State Police and the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services to assist local law enforcement agencies statewide to ensure that any large gatherings or protests remain peaceful and safe. We have the best of the best, both within the New York State Police as well as on Commissioner Bray's team. They're trained for this. They've been tabletopping this. They're prepared for this over months and months, and if not years, preparing for these days. As always, my top priority is keeping New Yorkers safe. And we can and we will uphold the right to free speech while protecting public safety. The work we've done in advance of this election that I've spoken to you about is part of a larger mission to expand and protect access to the ballot box. That's why back in 2022, when voting rights were under siege in states nationwide, I signed the most expansive state-level Voting Rights Act in the country. The John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act cracks down on voter suppression, deception, and intimidation. We've made it possible for New Yorkers to vote early by mail. We made it easier with early voting and training for poll workers, safeguarding absentee ballots, also enacting protection against AI in political communications. And we've helped young people and traditionally underrepresented groups to register and cast their ballot. Because we know that democracy is stronger when everyone participates. I'll close with this. 176 years ago, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, and roughly 300 other brave women and a few enlightened men gathered in Seneca Falls, New York, where they launched the nation's women's suffrage movement. They were willing to take risks, being alienated from society, their families, because they wanted a real say in the world around them, and they knew that voting was the only way. It was true then and remains true today. So I urge all of you to get out there, make your voices heard, honor those who fought this fight for decades and if not centuries, and do so with the full confidence that we're ensuring that your access to your polling place will be safe, easy, and accessible. Now I'll turn it over to my great partner, New York State Attorney General Tish James, who can talk more about what her office is doing to protect New Yorkers from election-related misinformation. Attorney General James.
Good morning. I want to thank Governor Hochul and Commissioner Bray and all of my partners here today for ensuring a safe and smooth election process for every community in New York. As of this weekend, the 2024 election is officially underway in New York, and we saw record numbers of New Yorkers participate in early voting this weekend. Already, hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers have cast their votes. And over the next week, we anticipate millions more, including many in this very building. New York has a long history of free and fair elections, and this year will be no different. But we know that tensions are high, and some of you might be worried. So I want to take this moment to reassure you. My office, along with our partners at the federal, state, and local level, have been preparing for a smooth and safe election. And I want to be clear, there are no active issues or threats at this time. But we are here to make sure that New Yorkers know we are still prepared and taking this very seriously. My team has made it a priority to ensure New Yorkers have the information and resources they need to vote, including to know what their rights are, to combat potential misinformation and disinformation, and to create a coordinated plan for election protection with those partners at every level of government. Because we are committed to making sure New Yorkers are well protected, safe, informed, and free from intimidation when they cast their votes this election. And we are taking this on from every angle. Now, we know that there are those out there who might try to get people to stay home and stay quiet this election. Voter suppression efforts and misinformation are not new. Individuals use scare tactics, intimidations, and threats to basically deny individuals their fundamental right to vote. And over the years, we've shut down several attempts to scare voters into staying home. In fact, we stopped a dangerous robocall campaign that targeted Black voters in upstate New York and falsely told them that if they voted by mail during the height of the COVID pandemic, that their personal information would be used by the police, that they would allow credit card companies to collect debts, and the CDC would track individuals for mandatory vaccinations. Not only was this patently false, it was illegal, and the goal was to scare people out of voting for a certain candidate. And we successfully shut these individuals down who operated in 3 states, and we coordinated with our partners in those 3 states. We also know that disinformation can take a variety of forms, and as the threats evolve, so do our enforcement efforts. Now, Americans are facing a new challenge, and that is AI-generated election misinformation. And these deep fakes can be dangerous, and they're getting harder and harder to spot. And that's why we put out a guide to help prevent AI misinformation and provided tips about how to spot fake content, to report it, and to seek accurate information about the elections. You should never rely on AI chat box to answer questions about elections or voting. And if you receive a phone call with information about voting or elections, be vigilant. That information may be inaccurate or fake. Remember to verify information with official sources. We also have been working with social media companies to address disinformation and specifically ensure that they are cracking down on this misleading AI-generated content. My office is also working with officials around the state to make sure they know the law and are ready to support voters. And while we don't anticipate any major disruptions on Election Day, we have been working for months to ensure that we can respond to any issues that do arise. And that includes coordinating closely with local authorities to identify and respond quickly to any concerns in their communities. It's important that everyone understand that it is illegal to intimidate, to threaten, to coerce voters in any way. It is illegal to bring any firearm into a polling site. It is illegal to photograph, to videotape, or otherwise harass voters at the poll. We are working with state and federal law enforcement partners to prepare for any potential issue that might exist on Election Day. If you experience any form of voter misinformation or intimidation, or have any issues at the polls, we want to know about it. My office operates an election protection hotline for every single primary and election day in New York. It opened this past weekend for the start of early voting. It is open today, and it will remain open from now until the day after the election on November 6th. We have attorneys and other experts available to address any issues that you might encounter. And you can contact the hotline by calling 1-800-390-2992. Again, 1-866-390-2992. 1-866-390-2992. Or filing a complaint online, electionhotline.ag.ny.gov. electionhotline.ag.ny.gov. My office is there to help people in real time, whether you're having trouble voting or you're witnessing voter intimidation at your poll site. And this hotline is a resource for all New Yorkers. My final message I want to make very, very clear. Your right to vote is fundamental. Your right to vote is sacred. Your right to vote is constitutional. And I will not let it be challenged or threatened, no matter who you are voting for or how you choose to vote, whether by mail, at your early voting site, or in person on Election Day. You have the right to feel safe, protected, and empowered when you head to the polls. And my office will continue to do everything in their power to defend your right to vote. This is going to be a safe, free, and fair election in New York. And I hope you will make your voices heard at the voting booth. It is your most sacred democratic right. It is your voice. It is your power. Please vote. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm just gonna provide a little bit of detail on the preparations that the state has been making. My name's Jackie Bray. I'm the Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Certainly want to echo what both the governor and the attorney general said. New York's elections are safe and secure. They have been safe and secure for many, many years, and this year will be no different. We have put measures in place to ensure that the process runs smoothly and safely. Since 2016, New York State, the State Board of Elections, our federal partners, our local partners have held 23 tabletop exercises in order to test and train our election security, our election cybersecurity processes. Under this governor's leadership, we've expanded best-in-class anti-virus software to all New York State counties. That software extends to all county boards of elections. We have regular calls. In fact, they started several days ago, and they will go clear through the election as voting is underway. And so every single day, our partners at the State Board of Election, at law enforcement, at our cybersecurity teams, my teams are on the phone checking in, confirming that everything's running smoothly. That could be from, a regular maintenance power outage all the way to something that's unique or new or specific happening this year. I also want to talk a little bit, as the governor and the attorney general have, about what we can do about misinformation or disinformation. Misinformation is just inaccurate information. Disinformation is information that's used in a specific effort to mislead. And these are really rumors that get shared online. Often we are finding from foreign adversaries. And one of the things that New Yorkers can do, and that I would just ask everyone to do, is to not share posts where you don't know where it's coming from. I think sometimes we think, I don't know how to stop that, I'm one person. But in truth, the way social media works, we each spread information exponentially when we share posts. And so when it comes to election information, particularly information about when, where, and how to vote, if it's not coming directly from your county board of elections or your state board of election, don't share it without verifying it with those boards of elections. You can be a really important part of stopping the rumors that are spreading online. And so you can do that by not sharing it until you check it. You can check that information at elections.ny.gov. And I just want to, early voting is starting. New Yorkers are voting. Over 705,000 New Yorkers have already voted. It's going to be a historic year. And so certainly want everyone to come out and vote, but really just want everyone to know that we are prepared. We have been exercising and training for the last 8 years. We have the resources, thanks to Governor Hochul, out ready to deploy and already in place. None of our voting machines are tied to the internet. All of our voting machines are best in class, and so New Yorkers can feel safe and ready, and we are prepared to maintain that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I want to thank our speakers. We're going to take everyone off stage, and the governor will come back to do a little bit of question and answers after. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey guys. So we're going to start with on-topic, nonpartisan questions while we have the governor, the attorney general, and the commissioner. We'll dismiss everyone else and we can do politics after if we so choose.
All right. Thank you for joining us. I just want to remind all New Yorkers as they cast their ballots this week that there are no credible threats to the election integrity of our systems here in the state of New York, but we are on vanguard to make sure that we are prepared for all scenarios. And I want to thank our Attorney General for deploying her office, as she always has, as a resource, but also an enforcer to ensure that there is no intimidation, that our laws are followed, and also to our Commissioner of Homeland Security, Jackie Bray, who has been working tirelessly with law enforcement, our local boards of elections, and all of us to ensure that these elections are conducted smoothly and safely. Any questions?
On topic, election security. Love to hear it. All right, thanks, AG. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, any ops? Marla, go ahead.
Certainly, there's always large crowds when circuses come to town. There's a lot of curiosity seekers, people, and also I'm sure there's many supporters there as well. So they have their right to gather. They have their right to have their voices heard. This is America. This is New York. But what was said by the speakers before Donald Trump and even what he said just reminded everyone as he makes his closing argument why he should never, ever step foot again in the Oval Office. And last night, I was with a gathering of bodega owners, over 700 individuals who gathered in the Bronx, and they were stunned, many Latinos, Latinas, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Haitians, who are stunned at the scale of ferocity levied against them, the hatred that was spewed out of the mouths of speakers at Donald Trump's event. It was shocking even by today's standards. To call Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, I represent 1 million Puerto Ricans. I am disgusted by that characterization. Donald Trump himself also called America a garbage dump. I'm speechless. What are you talking about? You talk about my grandparents who came here seeking a better life? They're garbage. Your grandparents, people came 100 years ago, people came yesterday, they're garbage. This is a good country. And we have to get back to the guiding principles that we are what we are as Americans because of our diversity. And I honor that, especially as a place that is proud to have Ellis Island in our harbor, the place these individuals have come through, many of them. So I reject, with every fiber of my being, the sentiment, the words, the hatred that was spewed at that event, and I'm shocked and saddened that it happened in the great state of New York. The hypocrisy of Donald Trump and any Republican running for Congress here in the state of New York of criticizing the number of individuals coming across the border, especially from Mexico, criticizing them when you had the solution in your hands, a bipartisan solution. Bipartisan, what does that mean? A conservative senator, Democrats, House, Senate, came together with President Biden, Vice President Harris, to formulate a solution, because immigration has been a wildly complicated issue since I worked on it on Capitol Hill as a staffer for Senator Moynihan. It is difficult, but they figured out a strategy, a compromise, a plan that would have ensured that our borders are maintained, that we restrict the flow of individuals coming, that there is a legal path before they come to the borders for citizenship, that we increase border protections, more border security. And Donald Trump told the leadership, Republican leadership in Washington, to kill it because it would have helped Democrats politically. They have no ground to stand on to criticize immigration in this country today because the answer was within their reach and they took it out and destroyed it. So I'm not even listening to their arguments. No. Statistically, they're no more apt to commit a crime than anyone who's been as a natural-born citizen here. No, there are no statistics that bear out a higher increase in crime being committed by newly arrived individuals. So that's just a part of a long list of falsehoods that we have to be aware of. that we have to call out, that Americans who listen to this and believe it need to know that they're being lied to by Donald Trump and the Republicans who are manipulating the system for their own political gain. It is basically un-American, and I've had enough of it.
Anything else? Channel 2, Channel 7? All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate you coming out. Thanks.